Hi everyone, Tandy Lasala here, your cancer empowerment coach and can heal mentor, and welcome to another edition of Healing from the Inside show. Today I have a very special guest named Rodney Dodson, and he is a holistic health coach and a Gold doTERRA wellness advocate. And we are going to be talking today about his journey through all of his health issues. He is a really super healthy guy who puts holistic health, nutrition, detox as a priority in his life and in the lives of his clients. And we're going to learn more about Rodney and his health journey here in a little bit. So we've got Rodney on. Yay. Bring Rodney. I'm bringing Rodney. And we are going to get started. Hi.
Hey, how are you,
I'm
Tandy?
Great. How are you doing, Rodney?
I'm well. Thank you for having me on today.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you here with us. And we're both wearing similar colors. Woohoo.
Oh, it's fine. Oh.
And we didn't even coordinate that.
Nice. Not at all.
All right. So great. So we're getting viewers on as you get people get on. As you have questions for Rodney or myself, feel free to comment and ask, and I'll be periodically going like this and checking my laptop for those, because sometimes the comments don't always show on the phone. And I'd like to start, Rodney, by first having you share a little bit more about yourself. I know you're a very successful holistic health coach and a Gold doTERRA wellness advocate, and you weren't always healthy, and it wasn't always this way. So share with us a little bit about your journey through healing and health.
Well, thank you for that introduction. Yeah, and I have to say, I think for the majority of people, especially in the United States, which has been recently branded the fattest and sickest country in the industrial world, we were all kind of handed not such a great card from birth, right? So we're kind of programmed to think that eating junk food is normal, drinking tap water is normal, natural medicines is voodoo, hogwash, and so. I would never look at someone who didn't live holistically and point the finger at them and give them any shame for that, because I was once there as well, right? So, and that's not everyone's path either. Not everyone is a healer. So I believe, we have tribes of people, and there are some people who are educators, some people are warriors, some people are basket weavers, some people are caretakers, and some people are healers. And I took my role, as I believe I am, a healer. And I found that somewhere when I was in my early 20s, when I was experiencing, like you said, I was not healthy at some points in my life, right? I was experiencing my own sort of illness, suffering. And from that, I decided to research, and stumbled upon a lot of information that helped me. So, yeah, I don't know if you want me to go into my past too much, or if you want me to talk about that later, but yeah.
Yeah, no, let's dive into that, because I think it's important for people to know as we talk about healing from the inside and how exactly, we do that. Maybe if you could just share, what were some of your symptoms, what were some things that were going on, and what was that moment, that little trigger inside your brain that says, things have to change.
Right. And you know what? It's so funny because we want other people to feel that moment, and we can't feel it for them.
Right.
And we have so many people we want to help that we see suffering, and they really have to do it. They have to feel it themselves, to give them that momentum and then channel it if they choose. My moment when I was probably about 23, I have to say that I've always kind of aligned with nature. I've always kind of answered questions and found solutions through the idea that nature was the way. But I mean, I fell into the whole programming of not really knowing how to take care of myself, voluntarily poisoning myself, like I told you before, starving myself of vital nutrients just by buying popular stuff from television, right? Like cleaning supplies, personal care products, cosmetics, and popular vitamins that don't work and food and such. So, but when I was 23 years old, I was living in a dormitory. I was finishing my bachelor's degree in marketing. And when you're in a college dorm, you know, there's not much to do, especially when I didn't have a car. So, you know, not to, you know, insult anyone who's in the early 20s, but I always call it my pathetic early 20s because I really didn't have much money and I didn't really have much health either. So wealth and health were suboptimal for me. And we didn't do much at the dormitory besides study, drink alcohol, and eat junk food. So when I was experiencing depression and anxiety, like severe anxiety and depression, anyone who understands what that means, you know that that basically is a constant state of fear. So you're constantly living in a state of fear, panic attacks, not being happy. You almost don't want to live at that point because, you know, what's the point of living if you have to continue suffering in that way? But then look at my lifestyle. I was smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, eating ramen noodles for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like all my food was microwaved. My water came straight from tap, which has chlorine, arsenic, fluoride, heavy metals, traces of pharmaceutical drugs, so on and so forth. So I was constantly poisoning myself. I wasn't getting any nutrients. But if I went to a psychiatrist at that time, because by the way, I never told anyone I had depression or anxiety. I never told anyone that because for me, I felt kind of like, it makes me feel weak, you know, which it's not, you know, it just means that you're struggling through something.
Yeah.
But for me at that time with my ego, I was thinking I didn't want to tell anyone or share that with anyone. But anyway, I remember that this is kind of spiritual. I didn't want to get too much into this because I just don't want to go into a tangent. But I did start to read a few books that my twin brother introduced to me about health. And for some reason, that's all I needed to trigger me into realizing that this was a better way. I have not experienced anxiety or depression in over 13 years. Now, again, if I went to a psychiatrist in my early 20s and I told them that I was experiencing these neurological disorders, what would they have told me? Oh, you have a chemical imbalance. That's what they're trained to say, right?
And write a
then they would
script.
put psychotropic drugs.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would be on psychotropic drugs, which are all liver toxic, which cause other illnesses, and they also stagnate brain development. I don't want that in my body. So instead of doing that, and I'm actually very grateful I never told anyone now looking back because I probably would have went to a psychiatrist, but I started learning all about health, and this is a little more spiritual. I actually was reading a lot of books, and then I went to sleep, and this is weird, crazy, but I did have an experience, and I saw my grandparents, and they sort of showed me things, and I woke up crying, and I quit smoking cigarettes, and I started to lead a holistic life, and like I said, 13 years, no depression or anxiety.
Wow.
So.
Wow. I love that story. I love that story. As a spiritual gal
Thank you.
myself, I can appreciate that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So you talk a lot about detox, nutrition, holistic health and living. What are some of the key, well, you know what, let's talk about oils for a minute because I'm trying to move my stuff here so that I can track what's going on because
I need a tripod, you guys. I'm actually using like little boxes that hold my camera up.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's funny. I have a tripod, but you wouldn't know it right now the way I'm moving my stuff.
There's an earthquake in Arizona.
I know, right? Oh my gosh. So how did you get introduced to oils, essential oils? And how about this? What was the first essential oil you tried? And
sure. Sure. Well, in my not knowing too much when I was still, because I think everyone goes through these stages of realizing holistic and that sort of living and then transitioning into natural health. As I was sort of tippy-toeing into it, I feel like I kind of jumped into it, but anyway, but I was sort of baby stepping in some way. I think that I would try like cheaper brands, oils, before I really understood the importance of purity. And I'm sure I tried lavender and peppermint, some of the basic ones, but I didn't use them for anything other than topical and some of the therapeutic values that I had heard of. I wasn't that knowledgeable about oils, and And I didn't realize that 95% of the essential oils in the United States were adulterated with synthetic chemical fillers because it's cheaper for them to manufacture. And then there's also traces of pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides. So I was likely not using a very good oil, which is why I didn't feel their therapeutic value when I was using them.
Got it.
So it wasn't until later when I started to research about the oils, and I also linked arms with my best friend who speaks on independent radio, and I would listen to her on the radio. She's a practitioner, Marlene Yvette.
Yes.
And you know Marlene. And she would tell me about the difference between a quality oil and a regular oil, cheap oil bought at the market, even at Whole Foods. It's not, they're not good. And I was like, wow, that was another epiphany I had. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize there's not only these amazing products, but there's different qualities, and there's brands that are not good. There's brands that are low quality. So, yeah.
Wow. So how, this might be a tough question for you to answer. What are your top 3 favorite oils, doTERRA oils, and why?
That is tough.
I know.
I want to name them all. Well, let me think. I have to say that, okay, for instance, before I teach a class or before I'm being interviewed, I always do peppermint and rosemary. I don't know that I would put rosemary on my top because I don't use it as often, but I always use it with peppermint when I'm teaching a class or doing an interview, because you guys, peppermint oil, they actually implemented it across the country in public schools, and they found that it increased test scores by 10% for SATs and FCAT. So it's really great for focus and cognitive function and memory. But rosemary increases memory by 75%. So that's why when you guys see me in the beginning of a lecture or whatever, I'm like this, don't think I'm weird. It's just because I'm trying to get ready. And by the way, it works, because I actually taught a class a couple months ago, and I was kind of thrown off a little bit. I've taught enough to where I can sort of play it off. But I realized, I'm like, whoa, I didn't use my peppermint and my rosemary that day. So it must be, you know. Yeah, so I was like, wow, I'm never going to leave home without it. And then I would say Melissa and frankincense. If you don't mind, I'm going to say peppermint, Melissa, and frankincense.
Okay.
And I could teach a whole class on frankincense. I don't know if you guys are familiar. I'm not really religious. I am spiritual. But for those of you who are religious, and maybe you align more with Christianity and Catholicism, that the Bible, the scripture does talk about Jesus Christ and how baby Jesus was given frankincense, which is fascinating. Whether you follow that theology or not, our ancestors were using these beautiful oils to heal babies and adults, and that's what their natural medicines were. So frankincense is amazing for a lot of stuff, inflammation, shrinking tumors, protecting DNA. But I use it just as a natural medicine every day, and I also use it for nervousness or anything. If you ever feel anything like that, it calms you, and it raises the vibration for meditation. I also use Melissa oil. Now, Melissa oil is amazing, you guys, because it does so many different things. It's anti-pathogen, anti-parasitic, but it also is proven in a 2009 study as a natural anti-anxiety, natural antidepressant. So it binds perfectly to the receptor sites and neurotransmitters of your brain. And by the way, psychotropic drugs, although pharmacists would love this, cannot do that. So anyway, so I mean, go on a tangent about those oils, but I'm not gonna, but unless you want me to, but go on.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah. So what would be, we've talked a little bit about your health and healing journey. We've talked about the turning point. Thank you so much for sharing the experience, spiritual experience that you had. And if you had to say, as a holistic health coach, what's probably the top thing, mindset block or something that prevents people from making changes that they up here know they need to make, but they're not here,
right?
They haven't embodied it.
That's probably one of the biggest burdens we have as healers, is to carry that, which I don't suggest that anyone does. If you ever feel guilt that you couldn't rescue or save someone, right, you can't take this to a dark place, because you're just going to be carrying guilt and shame for the rest of your life. I have so many people in my life, loved ones, clients, but a lot of loved ones, family and other friends, who did not choose holistic, who did go the conventional route, and they're no longer with us. Two in particular, my aunt and my grandma. And it's like, I have to be careful if I'm talking about this, because then I'm like,
Yeah.
it makes you really, because you love them so much, and then they're taken from you, and you feel like you could have done more to help them. But the thing is, a lot of people are not ready, and they may never be ready, and we do have to accept that. I think, you guys, the best way to get people interested and to provoke thought without pushing them, because we should never have to push people to take care of themselves. We can only provoke thought and hope that our leading by example works. But have them watch a documentary. This is a good way to trick people, actually. I mean, that sounds like not such a great word, but to trick people in a way, because I get a lot of spouses that are not on board when their spouse is on board.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't want to stereotype gender or anything, but I notice a lot of my female clients, their husbands are not completely on board at first. And then it happens vice versa too. But I find, in my experience, more often it's the males that are not the husbands. But I always tell her to watch a documentary with him, maybe let the experts explain it to them, and because it's hard to see your loved one, someone you really care about, suffering when you know that you can heal them.
Yeah.
So is there, I don't know if, hopefully I shared that well, but
Yeah.
that's sort of my experience.
No, that's great. That's great, Rodney. And when you're talking to someone about their health, you're on a consult or something, is there something that you can tell sometimes when you get off the phone, you're like, yeah, that person's not ready, or they're not going to make the shift, or what have you. You can anticipate that. What is it that people say or do or not do? Obviously, they're not taking action, but what are some of the things maybe that people say that that make you go, wow, yeah, that person's not ready?
Right. I actually have had a lot of people, because I've had a lot of success with my essential oils career, and my holistic healing career. In a very short period of time, I've had reasonable success with it. But I have had, people don't understand how many people have rejected me. So, on that road, I mean, there's so many people that I've healed, and I have reached out to me and thanked me for helping them. But there are just a lot of people also who weren't ready, and they didn't want to take the holistic route, like we've talked about before. But when I'm having a conversation with someone, and I mean, there's just a number of things. There's variations to people's reactions to it, and whether they're on board or not. But I suppose when people are like, oh, you know what, I'll get back to you. I'm going to do some research or whatever. You usually know that's sort of a brush off. And what research are they going to do? Are they going to go look on some blog or an article on Google that's funded by pharmaceuticals or CDC, or something that has an invested interest in keeping people at a suboptimal state of health? And so I always tell people, I'm like, hey, listen, if you want to do research, absolutely, I completely conclude that would be a really great idea to do, or a decision to make. Now, make sure you go to reliable resource, which would be like PubMed. If you guys go on Google, is anyone here familiar with PubMed? If you want to put a 1 on the bottom, you can let us know if you're familiar with PubMed. That's where scientific peer-reviewed papers and journals are collected from around the world. So I'm a science guy, so I can't delve into anything or really put my passion or efforts into something that I don't believe in through science. And when it comes to the protocols, the regimens and stuff that I work with, everything is already vindicated or proven with irrefutable science. So I guess I usually would send them, that would be my response if they weren't so interested. But I'm really intuitive, and I'm pretty good. I can read people really well, so I don't push people. I can be aggressive when I feel like someone's, already have a debilitating or life-threatening illness. I tend to be a little bit, let's do this. But because I get really nervous and I'm really care about people. But, for people who aren't ready, you can sense it, and you just kind of give them time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So we've got some ones going on here in the house. And someone had a question. And let me get it again. Dun, dun, dun.
I know someone was asking about the kaboba oil,
Yes.
kabeba oil.
Yes.
I forget how to pronounce
What's your
it.
experience with that?
Rick. So, Bobby, just so you know, we're not answering questions about specific medical conditions. So you can always private message someone after this. But as far as medical conditions, we are not going to answer questions about that because for FTA compliance. But thank you for asking. So as far as that particular oil, Rick, we do, I have not used it personally yet. It is a new oil. I have researched it. It's great for digestion. It actually stimulates it stimulates the receptor sites for cannabinoid receptor sites. So it's really good for pain. So it's not a cannabinoid, but it does stimulate those receptor sites. So I'm sending that to my father because he has back pain for Christmas. And I'll let you know what the experience is. But I'm getting a lot of feedback from my clients, and they say that they love it for their pain, their indigestion, things like that.
Yeah. And I will pipe in. I've tried that as well. My daughter had open knee surgery to eliminate a giant cell tumor about 5 weeks ago. And I've been putting that oil in a capsule, and both of us have been taking it internally every day. And she's had significant reduction of inflammation of her leg and her scar area. And I have noticed a reduction in the inflammation in my body.
Yes.
Baby steps, right? So it's fabulous. And I too love peppermint and rosemary for focus. When I have like this long list of things to do, and I'm like, okay, today I got to get it done. I'm like, okay, rub it together, inhale, put it on my temples, rub it on my neck, and then I'm like zoned in. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that the oils you can use, you make sure they're CPTG pure,
Yeah.
Food grade oils. But when you use the oils, you can use them topically, internally, or use them aromatherapeutically.
Yeah.
So I use them aromatherapeutically throughout the day. So I always have my diffusers on. So I just want everyone to know that every drop of these oils has hundreds of chemical compounds that when you breathe it into the respiratory system, they actually bypass the blood-brain barrier. They pass through it easily because the brain wants them. And we've been living alongside these plants for millions of years. Like it's very innate. Our body's already familiar with them. It wants the chemical compounds. It allows them into the brain openly. And they, like I said, they bind perfectly to the receptor sites, but they also hit the limbic system of the brain and elevate specific moods based on that blend. And they also have a very high frequency. So there's megahertz and megawatts, but there's like 350 megahertz for a rose oil, and I think 275 for frankincense. So when you take them into the body, they actually help to raise your frequency, which is great for meditation.
Yes, yes, yes. Love it. So, you are a healthy guy, you work out all the time, you're doing that. How I'm reading a book right now called The 5-Second Rule. I don't know if you've heard of it. 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. And
no, but I should.
You should get it. It's awesome. But the premise of it is there's something that trips your brain when you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So it's like she says, when we hit the snooze button, for example, and we keep hitting the snooze button, we're starting our day off bad right off the bat because we're not getting up. So she's like, when your alarm goes off, you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up. Just get up.
Oh, nice.
Because when you don't, your body will go back into another 60, 90-minute sleeping cycle. You'll be groggy, blah, blah, blah. So that whole mentality of just do it, is difficult. And so she wrote that book to help people understand the connection and where the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 comes from. But my question for you is, so I'm starting to use that as a way to install new habits consistently. What do you do on days where you just don't feel good, or you're like, you know, I don't really want to go to the gym and work out, but you know, you have to or you want to. What do you do to maintain that um, that mindset, that health mindset?
Right, because I would, you guys, and I would never stand on a pedestal or a soapbox and state that I have any more abilities than anyone else. Like I do have lived holistically for a long time. I have been very successful with my career, but like I'm not endowed with magical powers, and there are plenty of days where I'm just like, you know what I mean? You don't really want to do anything, or
Yeah.
you just kind of stay home. And I would say also really quick, guys, is that whenever you are kind of lounging out, don't ever feel guilty like, okay, you're not being productive, but you are being productive if you're relaxing. So there's nothing wrong, right? Don't take it to a dark place. I would say if you're relaxing 24 hours a day, then it's time to get up.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with that. And so but for me, when I, like, let's say I'm feeling sort of lethargic or whatever in the morning, and maybe it has something to do with the energy frequencies of the earth. There's things that are beyond our control. Maybe there's a full moon, who knows? But anyway, I always keep my peppermint oil. And I know I'm going back to my peppermint, but it's the truth. I keep my peppermint oil on my nightstand. It wakes you up. So for me, it is tough for me to, I've never been a morning person really, although I have to admit, I do like mornings when I actually do wake up.
Yeah.
Do my little ritual and stuff. I get my reishi mushroom together. I got my oils going and stuff. And I do enjoy that. But even when I was a kid, I was hard for me to wake up. So early. But so when I have on my nightstand, my peppermint oil, I use it, I open it up, I put it on my hands, I breathe it in. It just wakes me up. I can't go to sleep after I've used that. So, and then as far as, I guess, I don't know. I guess I kind of, in my mind, I think the old phrase, just do it. But I'm going to use the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
I have not even heard that before, but I want to do.
My gosh, this book is blowing my mind. Seriously.
Yeah.
The 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. Get it. It's like, it's awesome. And so if you're watching this and you have trouble getting up without the snooze button, drop us a 2 in the comments. Drop us a 2 in the comments. And I'll share the link for the book. But it's really shifted my perspective. And she shares a lot about the brain and how it works, and how the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 do it works, as opposed, and it doesn't work in the reverse. You can't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
It's just,
it makes sense.
Yeah, it's the countdown. And she explains all of that and how that all works. So it's really fascinating. But I just got the book a couple days ago, and I've already been using that strategy, and it's working for me. So
I also just want to say I do stay productive. You guys, we did a mood management class yesterday. So anyone who's interested in, daily classes and stuff, we do weekly classes on detox, nutrition, natural medicine, just so you know you're not alone. Because a lot of people might be watching this and be like, well, that's easy for him to say, but how much do I have to charge him? You guys, I don't charge for my services. Like, you can easily go to my holistic healing group, and we'll just let you in, and we do free classes and stuff all the time. So, and we provide what you would need. So we do have natural medicines and stuff, but you can go in there and listen to our classes and get advice and stuff too for free.
Yeah.
We did a mood management class, and we were talking about mood management oils. And when you diffuse the oils that are for energy and being productive, that's what I use throughout the day. We have something called Motivate, Peppermint, Wild Orange Oil, Elevation. They all keep me productive and, for the most part, happy throughout the day. And yeah, I guess. But I'm going to have the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I already feel it.
Yeah, the 5-second rule. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing.
That book.
So I think gratitude is the foundation for really developing our greatness. And it's gratitude practices for me have really helped me with my mindset. What are you grateful for right now in life?
You know what? I mean, it might sound generic just to say, but I have to tell you it's the truth. I feel grateful just for being here with you and these wonderful people too. But having these amazing people in my life that I really feel truly have been brought to me because I did consciously open the floodgates for light workers to come into my life. You are who you hang out with, right? To an extent. And if you hang out with low vibrational people, that you're going to find that that's going to be to manifest your reality. So it's not that we should shun anyone or dismiss anyone from our lives, but maybe be more distant with people who are not quite I guess, helping to promote the best version of
That
ourselves.
is so,
Um,
yes.
because I love everybody, I embrace everybody, but when I see someone who's always negative and stuff, I may distance myself a little bit, right? Because there is such a thing as detoxing the body, but as well as detoxing your circle.
Yeah.
So,
And
right?
detoxing and decluttering your physical space. And I absolutely agree. I think the saying is you are the sum of the five people you hang out with the most, you know? And
Oh yeah,
so I absolutely am like, okay, who are the five people that I want to, you know, share energy and space with? And you're definitely one of those people for me.
oh, thank you.
And I,
You too.
and, but I absolutely agree with that. So thank you for that.
And I just wanted to say also, you guys, it's for many different facets of our life. So for me, I've always been pretty holistic, but it doesn't mean I was always successful.
Mm.
Like in my mid 20s, even well, it was probably my late 20s. I was struggling a lot. So my Marlene Yvette, who I linked arms with, I told you guys she's the practitioner. She's also very business savvy, and she has a really successful career. And when I became friends with her, I learned from her. So I'm not naturally good at business. Like marketing was my bachelor's degree, but I tried to do a business and it wasn't successful.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I became good friends with someone who ended up being really good in business that I started to learn from her. So yeah, you want to invite people into your life who are high vibrational, good people, and probably I would say also goal oriented, and maybe
Yes.
people who have strengths that you may feel you lack, so you can learn from them. Okay, just wanted to say that.
Oh, I love that, Rodney. Yes, yes. And when I
Thank
was in
you.
leadership in corporate America, I would say that about strengths and weaknesses. I always hired to my weaknesses. You know, some people say, I want to
Oh,
hire a mini me or the people that are exactly like
yeah,
me or what have you. Well, no, that's boring. You want people that complement you. So, yeah,
right.
absolutely. I'm 100% agree with that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
So, where can people find you, Rodney? You talked about your holistic healing group. Share with us where people can go to connect with you directly.
Right. Well, I wanted to answer Bobby. Bobby, we do Marlene Yvette. Her name is Marlene Yvette, and it's spelled Marlene. Yvette, Iveette, I believe. So you can go check her. She's on my friends list. Um, Truly amazing woman. I'm really happy that I met her a long time ago. So anyway, as far as the support groups, yes, you guys, we do have support groups on Facebook. Thank goodness for the internet. I would say social media can be harmful if you do it too much, and maybe you're taking it to a dark place, just like you can use any tool for a dark place, right? But we can always also utilize this beautiful technology, this innovative technology for good. We can reach out to people from across the world. And we can give people support when they need it most. Maybe they're living in the boondocks somewhere and they don't have a support system, but they can come to us on our support groups, and we can guide and mentor them and give them resources that they may need
That's right.
to optimize their health, right? So it's a beautiful thing. So anyway, we have a few different things. The Holistic Healing support group, you guys, it's called Holistic Healing. If you go to your Facebook and you look in Holistic Healing, you'll find the support group, and that is for the public and for people who are prospective to us in terms of being clients. But it is open to the public. That's where we teach classes. We also give free suggestions, advertisings for natural medicines and stuff, and then also promotions and stuff that people can save for holidays, by the way, because there's a lot of stuff coming out. And then we have something called Detox Your Life. So Detox Your Life is for when you join our oil family, we can add you to the Detox Your Life support group. And that's that's an upgrade from the Holistic Healing group. So the Detox Your Life support group is comprised of holistic health coaches, medical practitioners, and professionals. And they are there again for free to give their free services and advice and free resources for people who are members.
Excellent. Wonderful. And we'll put the links there in the comments as well for folks. So
Cool.
Rodney, always a pleasure. I am super grateful for you, and I'm thankful that you took this time out of your day to share your time and space with me and with all of our watchers and listeners. Thank you for all that you do for our community and for the world, and keep shining your light. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me, sister. I love you.
Mwah. Love you
And
too.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.